Hi, my name is Huard, and I'm a sophomore at Quincy College of Plymouth. And I wrote a few poems and a short story that I wrote. And the first poem that I wrote is called The Wielded Rose. This poem, The Wielded Rose, was inspired by a dead rose that I saw in my mom's vase. So it goes like this. There once was a rose, so it was withered in the month of December. And at the same time when wise men brought Christ's mirth, brown and facing down, this withered rose was, awaiting for April to come with its gentle showers, to take this withered rose once again have power. Slowly Apollo with his fiery chariot peeks over the horizon, giving the seemingly dead flower the warmth of the sun. Slowly, inch by inch, this wilted rose began to move. Slowly, with Apollo's love, he had something to prove. Deep down, underground, with its drenched roots, this withered rose come to life again. This little thing of beauty was once despised by men. Even despite this rose with its thorns, we learned that flowers were even meant to mourn. This next poem that I'm going to read is called Fighting Against the Wind, and it was based on Bob Seger's song, and it was written during a dark time in my life. In 2009, there I sat, with just my pen and my wit, striving for the stars to get my bachelor's degree, striving so hard to please friends and family, but that pressure only came from me. Now I'm here in a crazy man's hospital is where I sit, listening to the music from the speakers above, as nothing inside me has peace like a dove. Then the song by Bob Seger plays, Against the Wind, but just something in that song brings peace to my mind. There were oh so many roads, Bob Seger sings. Then in my head I heard a bell gently ring. Son, it's time to rise up with a new song to sing. Before I leave the crazy man's hospital, they diagnosed me as paranoid schizophrenic, but one day I'll achieve my goals brick by brick. A diagnosis does not define you, nor does it define your destiny. We all have oh so many routes to choose, but it's how we get up when we lose. So remember, the next time when you are shot down, keep your head high, and in the right time, you will find your crown. The next poem is called Iron in My Wrinkled Garments, and this poem was inspired by a short story written by a writer called Tilly Olson. Laborious, day after day, I stand and iron my wrinkled garments. My life plagued daily with so many ailments. So many stains and tears in these old tattered garments of mine. Who can sew and patch my garments? For it is only He, the true vine, a man whose love that is so sweet and divine. He with his iron and thread helps make a life not to dread, for he comes gently with his iron and begins to press on my wrinkled garments. And with each and every fragment, my heart broken and torn, but fear not, for he comes to sew and to mend. He died for all to show that his love has no end. No more stains, no more tears, for he has come to wipe away every tear. For trust Christ, for he is the iron and thread of life, when life cuts you like a knife. One day there will be no more life, for all that remain is peace from the strife. This is the next short story that I wrote, called The Beating of the Wardroom. It was in the winter of 1620 when I, Sir Philip, and my friend and fellow men and our families had come across the rough and turbulent seas aboard the Mayflower in search of religious freedom. December is a cold month, as you know. It is a time when your blood runs cold through your veins, along with every part of your outward body. The story I'm about to tell is not one my friends and family can explain. Only I can tell of the outcome. Some things are only up to the great Creator alone to understand. After 66 days at sea, we had finally laid down our anchor. Many of us did not arrive on this new strange land. Forests were everywhere on this new strange land. The forest ran farther than the eye could see. The forests were very deep, that if a traveler was to hunt alone, he would get lost in their great expanse. Later, after much exploring, my men and I discovered that Wampanoag tribes were everywhere in the forests and woods. Since the day of this discovery, I have been strategizing a way to eliminate these tribes in the back of my mind. One day I had come up with a plan. I was going to go into the forest at night when the savages are asleep and burn down their shelters and seize as much booty as possible from their Witus. There is no room in the great earth in which we live for such savages. I, along with my men and our families, should inhabit this earth. We will rule this land once and for all. My wife Mary is always preaching to me about the woods and forests being Satan's playground, but I think that belief is a pile of horse dung. Evil is everywhere. The story I'm about to recollect to you is one of true evil. One bitterly cold night, as my wife lay fast asleep like an innocent newborn babe, I quietly rose out of our straw bed without awakening her. The night air was cold as a witch's heart, but that's a story for another time and place. I gathered the strongest and bravest of men from my village and told them of my plan I had. They had agreed. Some of us brought torches, some guns, and some swords. The savages that lay among these woods and forests would not stand a chance against my God-fearing men. My men and I walked silently through the woods, trying not to make a sound in the crisp snow. The moon was bright as gold, pence in the night sky. Suddenly, out of nowhere, I heard the beating of a war drum in the far distance. I knew then that the savages heard my men and I coming toward them. Then before my eyes, I detected black shadows hiding behind the trees of the forest. Instantly, I shot my first bullet at the savage hiding behind the tree. But the savage did not die. Then my gut instinct told me to have one of the men charge at it with the swords. "There is nothing to charge at, Sir Philip," said one of the men to me. "There is nothing there," I said. "I saw the shadow with my own two eyes," I said. In the distance, I continued to hear the beating of the war drum, but with each rhythmic beat, the sound resonated in my eardrums. The menacing sound falling upon my ear came closer and closer, enough to make one mad. Mad? I am not a madman. Never shall I be called that. More and more shadows of these hideous savages were hiding behind the trees on that cold, chilling night. I ignored my fellow men's heeding about the fact that there was nothing there behind these trees. My natural instinct was to shoot at the shadows, but these savage beasts would not die. Before I knew it, I was all out of bullets. The beating became so intense that my world quickly changed from night to day. From there, the beating of the war drum was never to be heard again. As I came to meet the great Creator, he told me that the beating of the war drum was not the beating of an actual drum, but that of my own heart. The end. Thank you.